It is 40 degrees below zero, 500 kilometers inside the Arctic Circle. People have fought to survive here for centuries. A quarter of Russia is within the Arctic Circle. Heading east from Moscow at 10 times the speed of Concorde, we pass the Ural Mountains, then head north to the Arctic Ocean and across the Taimyr Peninsula. This cold and treeless desert, called the tundra, is permanently frozen for most of the year. Somehow, hundreds of thousands of people live here, huddled in an industrial city called Norilsk. Arisha Viznesenskaya came to the Taimyr to find out what brought people to northern Siberia.
In the Taimyr, people tell the story that when God created the world, he saw that the earth ended here. So he emptied all the minerals from his bag. This area is so rich in minerals that despite the harsh climate, economic development flourished.
Soviet geologists discovered vast mineral deposits here, and since the 1930s, the mining and smelting town of Norilsk has grown to over 200,000. Before then, the only people living on the tundra were the original Arctic nomads. They live in traveling settlements or in small towns. But the traditional life of the nomadic people is gradually being wrecked by industry. Nickel, cobalt, copper, platinum, coal, even gold are mined here in unthinkable quantities. An open-cast mine near Norilsk produces more than 1 million tons of nickel ore a year. Nowhere else in the world are metals processed in such a remote and inhospitable place. Making metal leaves tons of waste, which gets pumped into the atmosphere or dumped. Slag is poured onto giant heaps on the edge of town that will last for hundreds of years. In the 1980s, Norilsk metal smelters produced more sulfur dioxide than the entire country of Italy. This was once a small pine forest outside Norilsk. An area of destroyed vegetation the size of Great Britain stretches out around the factories. The people of Norilsk survive within this threatened wilderness. They came from other parts of Russia to work in the heavy industry, lured by high salaries and guaranteed housing. The town was built as a series of enclosed squares, protecting the inhabitants from the wind. To grow food in such conditions is a challenge. Indoor collective farms grow cucumbers, tomatoes, marrows, and loads of onions. But the people of Norilsk don't just eat onions. At the local market, more exotic things are on offer. What can't be grown in the greenhouses must be flown in, or come by road from the port of Dudinka, a treacherous 100 kilometers away. During the short summer, the Yenisei thaws. And 500 kilometers from the polluting reaches of industry, the tundra blossoms briefly. For 12 weeks, the sun never sets, though the temperature only reaches 10 degrees above freezing. Not warm enough for trees to grow tall or the subsoil to defrost. After just 2 months, winter descends again. Like other nomadic peoples of the Arctic, some Niensi still live in reindeer skin tents called chume.
I felt lucky to visit such a remote settlement and wondered how long the Nancy could keep their nomadic way of life. I asked Yaptune if his children and grandchildren would continue to live like this.
Our children will continue to live like this, roaming from place to place, fishing, hunting, grazing reindeer. We have this in our blood.
As our helicopter took off for the Dinka, I hoped that Yaptune was right and that his children could continue to live like him. But the devastation I'd seen around Norilsk made me think that the Nancy and their herds of reindeer may not have this choice.